So this is the Redmagic Astra, and I sold my iPad for this device, and I'll tell you why. So the Redmagic Astra is a gaming tablet with a 9-inch OLED display. Why did I pick this device up? I wasn't sent this device, I bought it off my own back. I love tablets, mainly for media consumption and predominantly for manga consumption or graphic novel consumption. Now, my use case for a tablet may be slightly different to other people, but for what I use a tablet for is for reading manga, watching movies, consuming news, and playing the odd game. Now, I say playing the odd game because I absolutely love using these Android devices to play games, but I have the Iron Thor. So this tablet isn't predominantly used for games, although the Redmagic Astra has a Snapdragon Elite chip in it, which is super powerful, giving the driver performance is up to scratch. But the main reason I got this is for its size. Now this is a 9-inch tablet. So I was in the market for a small tablet, and this kind of fits the small but mighty kind of aesthetic I was looking for. I was looking for a tablet with an OLED display. I had an iPad mini, and I also had an iPad 11-inch. The iPad 11-inch was just a little bit too big for portability aspects for me and for just taking around and reading my manga or graphic novels on the go. And the iPad mini was a great size. It was maybe a little bit small for graphic novels. I thought the text boxes were a little bit too small. Perfect for manga. But I really wanted that OLED display for media consumption, and the 60Hz screen just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I came across the Astra after doing a lot of research and found it was like the best Android tablet that was out in the UK at the minute. I know that Huawei has a MatePad Pro Mini out in China at the minute, but sadly that isn't available in the UK and we have to import it. And the cost to import is extremely expensive. And this only cost me £450 on Amazon. So cost-wise, I think you're getting an amazing price to performance ratio of this. It not only has the OLED display, it's got a 165Hz screen, which is definitely overkill for what I'm using it for, but it's super fluid, feels super quick, super snappy, and it does everything I want it to do, and the Android operating system allows me to make it as minimal as possible. The way I like to run my Android systems is, my main phone is a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and I made the jump last year from an iPhone. And I was super impressed by how open the Android software feels. So making the jump from iPhone to Android, I was already kind of well versed on the Android interface. Now, I would say the Redmagic software is not quite as customizable as Samsung's, although it is an Android device, so I'm sure there are ways around it. Predominantly though, for my use case, reading manga on this with the Mihon app is absolutely amazing. I've been reading The Climber recently and really enjoying it. A lot of inky blacks in that. And I've also been finishing off Berserk, which sadly probably won't ever be finished in my lifetime. But I'm also enjoying waiting 3 to 4 months for each chapter and devouring it in like 2 seconds. But Berserk looks absolutely phenomenal on this device. The OLED screen really does pop here. And graphic novels, I feel like the 9-inch display is super nice for graphic novels because it's hitting that medium point of not too small like the iPad mini, where I couldn't really read a lot of graphic novels due to the size of the layout of them, and not too big where the iPad 11-inch felt decently sized but just a little bit too big for me to take around portably on the bus or the train or the plane. It fits in a backpack great, but I feel like the Redmagic Astra just kind of hits that middle ground, and I really do like that. Although it is on the heavier side for a smaller tablet, it weighs around 370 grams, which is a little bit heavier than the iPad mini. The iPad mini really does feel like that kind of slate of a tablet that has zero weight to it. And obviously it's smaller, so less heavy than the iPad 11-inch, although the 11-inch does have a good weight distribution across the whole device. I will say, one of the main downsides of owning this tablet, and to be fair, it is to be expected on a smaller tablet. I think the iPad mini didn't really have amazing speakers, but the speaker performance is suboptimal.
We'll put them in water when we get to our new home.
I've had to use a couple of different settings. I've definitely made an equalizer preset, and that has helped the speakers they sound very tinny to start with, but after a tweak in the presets of the equalizer, the EQ, I managed to get a nice balance between a bit more bass heavy and a bit more treble, and obviously getting them highs as well. And it sounds okay. It's definitely not the best tablet for speakers ever, But on this smaller size form factor, I'm quite happy with how it is. And obviously, there's no headphone jack here, so you're going to have to use Bluetooth headphones, which is a little bit annoying. As far as the gaming performance goes, now, this is predominantly a gaming tablet. It is marketed at the gaming audience. And although I am predominantly a gamer at heart, I haven't really seen the need to play games on this. Now, I did buy myself a gaming controller to go along with this. This is the Gamesir X5S. And this is a Bluetooth controller that can also be wired. My idea behind this was to connect it up to Moonlight and stream Moonlight games, but sadly, the Moonlight performance for me has been very, very average. I play Moonlight on a lot of devices, the Legion Go 2, Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, and also the Iron Thor. And because a lot of these devices hit that 60 Hz and 120 Hz perfectly, I get no frame pacing or frame stuttering. But for some reason, this tablet, the FPS and just the general frames, the hertz of the screen, slightly differs to being a locked frame rate. And I'm seeing a slight bit of frame pacing and the odd stuttering here. So as using it for a streaming device, I haven't been massively fussed to go into every tiny setting in my Artemis and Apollo setup and tweak it to get it working, because I've got other devices that can do Moonlight better. So it has been a bit of a letdown for the Moonlight performance. The graphical OLED display on here would have been insanely good for the Moonlight streaming, but hey ho, I've got other gaming devices that do that better. But gaming on device, different story. Because it has the Snapdragon Elite chip in there, emulation is an absolute breeze on this device. PS2, GameCube, Switch emulation are all amazing. Now, Switch emulation can be hit and miss. That's because the driver support isn't 100% yet on this chip. Down the line, in a couple of months, when the drivers have been built up, there's a new turnip driver coming out every few weeks. Once they kind of come up to scratch, this driver on this chipset will be absolutely phenomenal. I think it shares the same chipset as the Odin 3. Now, that is a top of the line, just come out handheld from Ein. And yeah, this is no slouch, that is for sure. It's got a fan built in, so in case you do need that extra cooling performance, the fan can boot up, and obviously you can turn it off if you don't need it. And I also love the max charging feature that this device has, where if you plug it in and you just choose the max charging feature setting, it automatically boots the fan and gives you the fastest possible charging speed available. Now, this tablet charges super quick. I get a full charge in about an hour and 20 minutes at most, but if you want to go from 0 to 80, you're looking at about 45 to 50 minutes. It's really that last 20% that takes the longer. But yeah, for charging, absolutely phenomenal charging speeds on this tablet. So like I was saying, gaming performance, the emulation on this device is top notch. You can literally run anything on it. It is literally no slouch. All we're waiting on is new driver support. And as soon as new driver support comes out, we can then start playing the stuff on GameHub a lot better. Game Native and GameHub are essentially PC emulation. So you're pulling your Steam library and running it locally on device. Now, this has been great for me on my Iron Thor. If you watch any of the videos on my channel, you'll see that I absolutely love this on the Iron Thor. And it works really, really well on this Redmagic Astra. It just requires more tweaking because the driver support just isn't there. So it's almost like we've hit a ceiling here. The performance coming out of the tablet is phenomenal. We're just not able to fully render and use all that power because the driver support just isn't there yet. So, like I say, in a couple of months' time, once them drivers start coming out, we'll be able to start running these games at phenomenal frame rates. But at the moment, for this device, it isn't fully there. Although I will say it is there to an extent. Like, I'm playing some really good games on this device here, if I want to. Like I said, the Gamesir X5S controller isn't the greatest feeling controller ever. It's very lightweight, it's Bluetooth, and it works. That's the main thing about it. It just works. It feels good. It's got Hall sensing sticks and triggers, so you're not going to have to worry about drifting on it. And yeah, it just works. You just clip it on, it connects via Bluetooth, and you're going to get a very low latency there. And if you want to be a stickler for latency like me, you can pick up a short USB-C and 2 right-angle USB-C connectors, and essentially what you're doing there is you're wiring in the controller, but it's very non-visible, and it's very, like, not invasive. So I think that's the best way to probably play if you're worried about latency. But as far as gaming on the device goes, it's an absolutely beautiful display. That 9-inch OLED display is phenomenal. Now, for content consumption, I think you've peaked here. If you want a portable tablet that is great for content consumption and just general movie watching and YouTube watching and just video watching, It's stunning. It literally blows a lot of tablets out the water. It blows all the iPad tablets out the water, that's for sure. As all the iPad tablets I've used, the display looks a lot better here. Now, if you're bumping that brightness up, you're getting 1,600 nits of brightness here, peak, and I think it's sustained around 1,000 nit of brightness, so it's a super bright screen. I rarely ever run it at full brightness, but when I want to watch HDR content and stuff, I'll bump the brightness up and it'll compensate for that. But definitely get a set of headphones, a good set of wireless headphones, because like I say, the speakers are very suboptimal on this device. But for my use case, guys, this tablet has been absolutely unbelievably good for me. I think it's definitely hitting that medium ground for me of manga reading, predominantly graphic novel reading, watching videos, and just general browsing. The 165Hz display is super smooth. I was comparing this between my iPad mini, which was only 60Hz. It's night and day difference. The 60Hz display on the iPad mini just makes the whole device feel sluggish and slow. If you jump from an iPad mini to this device, same price range, you will be blown away at how good and how buttery smooth this screen feels. It's a joy to use, honestly. It is an amazing tablet. Super, super well priced for it. I'm running the 12 gigabytes of RAM model here, so it's not even the top spec model. I don't need the top spec model. I'm not planning on fully gaming on this device. I just wanted it for content consumption. And for that, it does it amazingly and looks really, really good. And that is why I decided to sell my iPad and pick up the Redmagic Astra instead. If you like this content, if you want to see more of it, then feel free to subscribe. My channel is mainly focused on gaming content, but I do love tech. I do buy a lot of tech, so I expect reviews on random bits of tech. Predominantly gaming focused, but with an extra bit of random tech thrown in there. I love reading. I love messing about with cameras, tech, all that kind of stuff. So if that floats your boat, then feel free to subscribe. And yeah, I appreciate you watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.